So here I have part 2 of your video lesson, and I need to do it like this because I'm using a free video editing resource and it will only allow me short time. So where we stopped, we were questioning the system in post-colonial India, the caste system. And we get it from the perspective of the children who are narrators. And the text says that to Ryle, it seemed as though this difficulty that their family had with classification ran much deeper than the jam and jelly question. This reference to jam and jelly, it's there in the novel, and it's like a child's consciousness associating the known, associating the unknown, or things that cannot be understood with maybe that which seems to be understood. So there's a jam and jelly question. Perhaps Amu, Esther, and she, that would be Esther's sister, Rael, they were the worst transgressors. But it wasn't just them, it was the others too. They all broke the rules. They all crossed into forbidden territory. They all tampered with the laws that lay down who should be loved and how much. Those were the laws that made the grandmothers grandmothers, the uncles. And so it's a child's consciousness examining the whole system that discriminates against others. Further in the book, you get evidence from the text about the treatment of Dalits, the outcasts. There is Veluto, who wasn't supposed to be a carpenter. He was called Veluto, which means white in Malayalam. But it's ironic. It means that he was so black. So yes, you will call it color distinctions in 2020, 2021, 22. I've heard the term colorism being used. And so color is ingrained in the class stratification. And maybe Arundhati Roy is asking us whether stratification can only be attributed to the colonizer, or is it something that's also associated with religion and it's deep-seated? So Veluta's father, he's called Papayan. He was Parvan and he was a toddy tapper. They give you a whole description there. But as a young boy, Veluta would come with his father to the back entrance of Aimemen house to deliver coconuts. And that allowed him a little entrance into the class above him. Never mind, he was treated in a particular way. They had to put their hands over their books. The book was titled The God of Small Things, collected and compiled by Shashank A. Senior, exclusive for news and views and readers. So they put that book and cover their mouths when they spoke. Why? So that they could divert their polluted breath away from those whom they addressed. What a pity. In 2021, where we live now, we all have to wear masks to cover our polluted breaths because we don't know whose breath is polluted. And that goes for people irrespective of class, irrespective of religion or breeding. And so it really challenges the way we perceive others, the stereotypes we attribute to them, the categories we place them in, and we don't even realize that we are also being placed in categories. And so Christianity seems to have a role. When the British came to Malabar, and this is India, a number of the Paravans, the Pelas, and the Puluas, and Veluta's grandfather among them, they converted to Christianity. They joined the Anglican Church. And they tried to escape the scourge of untouchability. But guess what happened? That's considered transgressing boundaries. There were special schools for them. Those children attended different schools. And then something happened. I'm skipping and I'm going down later on in the text. Veluta's father saw that night after night a little boat was rowed across the river. And then he saw that boat going back at dawn in the morning. And then he saw that his untouchable son had touched. His son had more than touched. His son had entered, his son had loved, and that's Veluta. So Velea Papen, the father, he went to see Mamachi to 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 express his fears of what he had seen. And he's asking God's forgiveness for having created, spawned such a monster. So he, although he's Christianized, he still thinks that his son is not good enough. And he offered to kill his son with his own bare hands so that he could destroy what he has created. And for those who are absent, we have beautiful interpretations given by some students. When we say the God of all things, the term created becomes so important. And so maybe Veluta himself becomes a god because of his ability to create. So Amu has a dream, and she gets this idea that the god of small things represents this man she loves, the untouchable Veluta, in spite of the fact that society will never approve of them. So in her dream, she happens to be the chapter entitled that. Amu dreams of a man with one arm who holds her close to him. He could only do one thing at a time. If he held her, he couldn't kiss her. If he kissed her, he couldn't see her. If he saw her, he couldn't feel her. When she wakes from her dream, her two children are there with her in the room, and she recognizes that they're shaving from wood, shaving in Rael's hair. And that tells her that her children are also going to see Veluta. They have established a relationship with him. And so they also crossed the river. And she knows something else. She knew who he was. And she, in her consciousness, she thinks that Veluta was the god of loss, the god of small things. So this brings us to examine how significant is the title of the text. And here we are at the end of the lesson that we did last week. And so I'm going to share this other slide with you.